Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Education Helpers Academy. In this lecture, we will discuss money and financial markets, particularly the topics of concept of money, measurement of money and theories of money supply and determination. So first we have to discuss what is the money. The money is accepting generally as a medium of exchange. That means money is a means of payment and thus a lubricant that facilitates exchange. Money is generally accepted by the public. It can be ready to make a transactions. Money has to play the different functions. One is medium of exchange, store of value, measure of value or unit of account. And you can define the different issues in the money. While defining money, we should know that there is a difference between the conceptualization of money and measurement of money. In fact, farmer proceed the latter, there are two approaches defining the money. In a prior and theoretical approach and empirical approach. In theoretical approach, money is first conceptualized in terms of the certain functional and institutional attributes, and then the corresponding measure of the money is obtained by aggregating the financial assets which process these attributes. In empirical approach, we directly arrive a measure of money and aggregate of financial assets which when introduced in certain functions giving the best result. The theoretical approach is more analytical, scientific, whereas the empirical approach is the emphasizes and scientific procedure. The farmer developed an appropriate concept of money as an analytical entity, then suitably measure money, thus clearly distinguish between the capitalization and measurement. The latter does not. So we can observe that measurement of money, monetary aggregates in an economy are, that is we already know, M1, M2, M3, M4. M1 is the sum of currency of the public held, demand deposits, other deposits with RBI. M2 is M1 plus saving deposits with post office saving banks. M1 means already currency public held with the public, demand deposits, other deposits with the RBI. M3 is M2 plus time deposits. M2 all the other variables including saving deposits with post office and the time deposits. The difference between M2 and M3 are the saving deposits and time deposits. So M4 is M3 plus all deposits with post office savings organizations. So M3 is again time deposit, all the other variables including all deposits with the post office savings organization. The existing monetary aggregates M1 to M4 were revised by the working group on money supply, analytics methodology of computation in 1998, Chairman Y.V. Reddy. This was because during the financial liberalization, banks were resorting to non-traditional sources of funds under increasing competitive pressures. Financial institutions were operating difficulty at that time. Hence, M1, M4 was not inappropriate, so that they introduced the new monetary liquidity aggregates by the RBI working group committee. So, differentiate on the nature and functioning of the institution issuing such instruments. NM0 is monetary base, that is you can call as currency in circulation, banker deposit with the RBI, other deposit with the RBI, and M1 is equals to currency with the public plus demand deposits with the banking sector plus other deposits with the RBI. NM2, NM1 plus short-term time deposits of the residents including up to the contractual majority of 1 year plus time liability portion of saving deposits plus certificate of deposits. NM3 in the new aggregate monetary, that is NM2 plus long-term time deposits of the residents, contractual majority of 1 year plus call term funding from financial institution, call borrowings from non-depository financial corporations. And instead of these four, there are other three monetary aggregates also introduced by RBI working group, that is L1, liquidity measurement. L1 is equal to LM3 plus all deposits with the post office savings banks excluding national savings certificates. And what is the L2? L2 is equal to L1 plus term deposits with the term lending institutions, refinancing institutions, finance institutions, and plus term borrowings by finance institutions and certificates of deposit issued by financial institution. And LM3 is equal to L2 plus public deposits of non-banking financial companies. Here we have to discuss key features of new monetary and liquidity aggregates, that is NM0 to NM3 and L1 to L2 L3, new monetary and liquidity aggregates. NM0 is essentially the monetary base compiled mainly from the balance sheet of the Reserve Bank of India. NM1 purely reflects non-interest bearing monetary liabilities of banking sector. NM2 includes besides currency, current deposits, saving or short-term deposits, reflecting the transactions balance of entities. NM3 was redefined to reflect additionality to NM2, that is currency deposits, saving short-term deposits, and call funding for the banking system obtains from the other financial institutions. That means NM1, NM2 and NM3 are used to distinguish the new monetary aggregates as proposed by the RBI Working Group on Monetary Supply Analytics Methodology of Comparison, that is WGMS. In this committee, the chairman is Dr. Y.V. Reddy, June 1998, from the existing monetary aggregates. NM2 and NM are based on the residual concept, hence do not directly consider non-residential foreign currency reportable fixed deposits. Residency essentially relates to the country in which the holder has a entire economic interest. Only non-residential reportable foreign currency fixed deposits are excluded from the deposit liabilities and treated as external liabilities. Non-residential rupee denominated deposits have been retained as the part of deposit and monetary aggregates. So, a general model of money creation, the money supply process. You can observe in the previous slides, we discussed the what money does, measures of money supply. In this very simple setting, the money stock is simply the amount of deposit at banks. Simple deposit multiplier could equivalently be thought as the simple money multiplier. In really, the public holds currency as well as deposits. So, the total money stock M is the sum of currency with the public plus deposits. So, money stock M is equal to currency C plus deposit D. In this section, we examine money creation in this more general context, see how the level of the deposits and the amount of currency holding are determined. Ultimately, this will allow us to examine how actions of the Reserve Bank, including open market operations, affect the total stock of money in the economy. In particular, we now assume the public desires to hold currency in proportion of deposits so that people who decided to hold more money would increase their cash and deposit holding proportionately. This is in contrast to the previous section where we assumed people held money only in the form of the deposits. We indicate the desired currency deposit ratio, that is the CD, so that CD desired currency deposit ratio, public desired held currency proportion to deposits. Hence, C is equal to the currency is equal to CD multiplied and deposits. So here you can observe total reserves R is equals to excess reserves plus required reserves, that is R is equal to ER plus RR. And you can indicate a small RR, required reserve ratio, and ED, desired excess reserve ratio, they are proportional to deposits. Hence, RR is equal to small RR multiplied D, and excess reserves is equal to ED multiplied D. Since R is equal to RR plus ER implies that R is equal to RR into deposits, RR multiplied deposit plus ED multiplied deposits. So, RR plus ED multiplied D, it is clearly total reserves. So, what is the monetary base? The monetary base high powered money is equals to MB is equal to C plus R. C is currency and R is the required. That is the total required reserves. So, how to can calculate the complete deposit multiplier? The process is MB is equal to C plus R. Monetary base is equal to C what? CD multiplied D plus RR. R is equal to RR plus CD multiplied D. So, you can simplify this equation into CD plus RR plus ED multiplied D, we can denote it to C plus R. Hence, D is equal to, what is the D? Multiplier. What is the multiplier? Deposit multiplier is equal to 1 upon CD plus RR plus ED multiplied MB. This implies change in deposit delta D to implies that the change in the monetary base. So now you can understand 1 upon by CD plus RR plus ED is known as complete deposit multiplier. There is a change in the monetary base, the deposit multiplier will automatically change to change the currency deposit ratio and required reserve ratio and excess reserve ratio. Now you can understand that calculating complete currency multiplier. C is equal to what? Currency. How to can multiplier? You can calculate the multiplier. So C is equal to CD multiplied D. We already know. So CD is equal to CD multiplied 1 upon by CD plus RR plus ED. So MB is equal to CD upon by CD plus RR ED into MB. This is multiplier monetary base. This implies change in currency. How to can change the currency? Change in the currency is either the change in the currency deposit ratio or required reserve deposit ratio, excess reserve deposit ratio into MB. If the change in the MB, how to change the currency deposit ratio or currency multiplier? That is known as complete currency multiplier. So after that, we can discussing calculating complete money multiplier. Previous lecture we can discuss. Previous slide we can discussing that what is the deposit multiplier, what is the currency multiplier. Now you can discussing complete money multiplier. So money multiplier what? M is equal to C plus D. C what? Already we discussed currency multiplier deposit. And D what? Deposit multiplier. Right? Hence M is equal to 1 plus CD upon by CD plus RR plus ED multiplied MB. This implies change in money to change in the entire currency deposit ratio and deposit multiplier ratios. So delta MB 1 plus CD upon by CD plus RR plus ED is known as the complete money multiplier. According to these calculations, you can now observe that money supply equation. What is the money supply equation? The money supply is equals to 1 plus CD upon by CD plus RR plus ED multiplied MB. So that is the money supply is determined by the MS. So what are the factors to determine the money supply? Now in this slide we can discuss detail. Based on our previous analysis, it is natural and to define money supply as 1 plus CD upon by CD plus RR ED multiplied MB. This relationship is called as money supply equation because it indicates that how much money is created or produced in the economy for a given monetary base. A change in any of these determinants will change the amount of money, that is currency plus checkable deposits available in an economy. And also this analysis shows that change in the monetary base and the money multiplier actually affect the amount of money in the economy. We will see next why the money supply might change due to the change in the behavior of the central bank and the banks and the public. So first we have to discuss with the central bank, that is you can call it Federal Reserve determinants of the money supply. The central bank has two primary ways to influencing the money supply, that is through monetary base. Second one is through the required reserve ratio. What is the monetary base? The monetary base, increasing or decreasing the monetary base by open market operations. Will sales or purchase leads to an increasing decrease in the money supply. Required reserve ratio RR, increasing RR reduce the money multiplier, will leads to reduce the money supply. Increase the RR has opposite effect. So what about the banking system determinants of money supply? The banking system helps to determine the supply. Its choices of a ratio of excess reserves to deposits, ED, that is excess reserve ratios. Since higher excess reserve reduce the amount of loans the banking system creates from a given monetary base, increasing the excess reserves lead to reduce the money supply, whereas the decrease the excess reserve to leads the increase. What factors might cause a bank to rise or lower its desired excess reserve ratio? The major factors are changes in the market interest rate on loans, the risk of deposit withdrawals, and the interest rates on sources of borrowed reserves. So here we explain the link between the factors and desired excess reserve ratio. What are the factors? How we can desired excess reserve ratio will affect it. So market interest rate on loans. This influences ED because the interest rates are the opportunity cost of holding excess reserves. High market interest rate on loans implies fall in excess reserve ratio, which result in the increase in money supply. Risk of deposit withdrawals, higher risk, greater excess reserve ratio, higher lower money supply. Interest rate and broader reserves, when the interest rate paid on borrowed reserves rise, excess reserves increases which reduce the complete deposit multiplier and money supply. The public determinants of the money supply, this is the most important factor to explain the desired excess reserve ratio. The public chooses to desired currency to deposit ratio, which also help to determine the money supply. If people want to take more cash transactions, the desired currency to deposit ratio will increase. That means in this pandemic situation, the people wanted to more cash. Instead of sending the e-transaction, they can prefer to more on transaction. Then what will happen? The desired currency will deposit ratio will automatically increase. So this will reduce the complete money multiplier and thus leads to reduce the money supply. A increase in currency deposit ratio with the opposite effect. So increase in interest rate and checkable deposit results in decline in the attractiveness holding money, which reduce the currency deposit ratio, which increase money supply. Fees and checkable deposits. The cost of holding money in the form of deposits, so if they increase, currency deposit rises, hence the money supply falls. If the currency deposit decline with income, those with higher incomes are sophisticated users of the banking system are really less on currency. So higher income implies larger money supply. If the probability of bank failures rises, people will favor currency and money supply will fall. Increase in legal activity, decrease the money supply by increasing currency to deposit ratio. So according to these factors, we can discussing what is the money supply curve. Our analysis of the money supply in the previous section showed that amount of money in the economy ultimately depends on the monetary base, excess reserve ratio and required reserve ratio and the currency to deposit ratio. The monetary base and the required reserve ratio is determined by the central bank, while banks and deposit determines the excess reserve and currency deposit ratios. We conclude our analysis of the money supply process by graphically depicting the money supply curve, the amount the money supplies are willing and able to supply at various interest rate. Because economists disagree about the impact of interest rate on the determinants of money supply, we will distinguish between the two views. One is that determinants of money supply is equal to 1 plus ED, CD plus RR plus ED multiplied MB are exogenous. That means interest rate is the exogenous variable, other factors are endogenous variables. Determined by the outside forces do not depend on such as variables interest rate. According to this view, there is an exogenous money supply. Changes in interest rate do not alter the currency deposit ratio or desired excess reserve ratio of banks. The second view is that the endogenous money supply. It is the determinants of money supply, most probably the currency deposit ratio, desired excess reserve ratio are endogenous and depend on economic variables like interest rate. That means other than interest rate variables, that is the currency deposit ratio, desired excess reserve ratio to determine money supply, that you can call as endogenous money supply. That to variable like interest rate, that it depend upon their interest rate. We will see how these two views affect the picture of the money supply curve. So in this picture you can observe exogenous money supply. See, MS0 is the initial level of the supply of money with currency deposit ratio and desired required reserve ratios, so on. With the money supply, when it is increasing or decreasing to change in the factors of interest rate, currency deposit ratio and desired excess reserve ratios. If monetary base is increasing, the currency deposit ratio decrease, excess reserve ratio decrease and required reserve ratio decrease, what will happen? The supply of money curve will shift to rightward to depend upon the economic variable of interest rate. And when the MS1 curve shifted to MS1, MS0 to MS1, when monetary base is declining, currency deposit ratio increasing, required reserve ratio increasing, and the RR will automatically increase, then the supply curve will shift to leftward. In the case of other factors are constant, that is the deposit ratio, constant ratio, only change in the interest rate, that is you can call it exogenous money supply curve. So in this case, money supply is upward sloping because as the interest rate rises, excess reserves fall and the amount of money in the economy increase due to the completely money multiplier. Also, higher interest rate lead to lower currency to deposit ratio, which works through the complete money multiplier to further increase the money supply. So now you can discussing endogenous money supply curve. What is the endogenous money supply curve? Other than interest rate variable, that you can call as endogenous variables. What are the endogenous variables? Currency deposit ratio, required deposit ratio, and excess reserve ratios. As noted earlier, some economists believe that excess reserve ratio and currency deposit ratios are not constant but vary systematically with economic conditions. So in this graph, we depict that when monetary base is increasing, required reserve ratio declining, then the money supply curve will shift to MS0 to MS1 rightward shift. When monetary base is declining, required reserve ratio is increasing, the money supply curve is shifted to MS0 to MS1. So due to change in the level of required reserve ratios, the MB will influence to change in the supply of money curve. So here the two diagrams you can observe for slide 14 shows exogenous money supply, and on the 15th slide shows endogenous money supply curve. The initial curve in both cases are MS0, and increase in MB, decrease in RR, decrease in CD, decrease in ED, shift the money supply curve to the right, MS to both cases. Decrease in MB, increase in RR, increase in CD, and increase in ED, shift the money supply curve to the left, MS1, both cases. Right? So these are the important factors to influence the money supply processes to determine the exogenous factors and endogenous factors. Now we coming to a money multiplier approach. What are the theories? Another theory you can express or you can determine what are the factors to money multiplier approach according to Narendra Jadhav. So what is according to Narendra Jadhav, explain how you can money process will happen in the economy. M is equal to small m multiplied h, where what is the m? Bigger m is nominal money stock and h is nominal reserve money, and small m money multiplier. So high powered money is equal to C plus R, already well known. So where C is currency held by the general public and R is bank reserve band money multiplier, and small m is m upon by h. Right? So you can simplify this equation into C plus DD plus DD. That what? That is the high powered money. What is the m? C plus R. M into h. So you can simplify this equation into again C plus DD plus CD plus CR. Right? C plus DD TD upon by C plus R DD plus DD. So you can simplify this all these three equations previous one. So now you can write it the equation 1 plus C upon by dd plus TD upon by dd upon by C upon by dd R plus 1 plus TD upon by dd. So C upon by dd means its currency, TD upon by dd means time deposits, right? TD, so C upon by dd, R means recovered reserve ratio. So entire this equation you can say that dividing numerator denominator by dd, you can find out the equation. Both in this equation you can divide it to numerator denominator by the dd. So 1 plus C plus so T and C plus R 1 plus T. This is the final equation after simplify all these equation. So you can look at where M is equal to C plus DD plus TD. So DD what? Demand deposit. TD what? Time deposits. Right? So R reserve to deposit ratio and T time deposit demand deposit ratio. C is currency to demand deposit ratios. Hence M is equal to money supply is equal to 1 plus C plus T upon by C plus R 1 plus T multiplied H. So sometimes there is adjustment of the money supply. How? There are different factors has to discuss. So one is the RT currency cash reserve ratio, that is the current cash reserve ratio RT it denoted, and RO initial and benchmark CRR, and D demand and limit liabilities and relevant to the components of the CRR, IR increment reserve requirements, and DF net CRR default from the all commercial banks. Adjustment will happen. Adjustment takes place R1 minus R0, that means current cash reserve ratio minus and initial or benchmark CRR multiplied D plus IR minus DF. The adjustment takes place in the economy in the process of the money supply. R, this is the equation. right? H star what? H minus adjustment factor. H what? High powered money minus what are the adjustment factors? That is R1 minus R0 multiplied D plus IR minus DF. A fairly general model may be formulated as M is equal to 1 plus C plus T upon by C plus R 1 plus T multiplied, that is H E0 plus DF minus ER, where DF means direct dictionary finance provided and ERE excess reserves and H0 non-borrowed reserve money. So based on this theory, according to Narendra Jadhav, you can observe that change in a variable, how the money supply responds. So in the case of rise in currency deposit ratio, C, money supply response is contraction. A rise in term deposit ratio, TD upon by DD, is money supply response is expansion. Already we know what is the expansion, what is the contraction. Expansion is increase the money supply to increase the supply of money. Increase the monetary base to increase the supply of money shifted to rightward. Right? And decrease the monetary base to supply curve will shifted to leftward. That is the contraction. Right? So rise in cash reserve ratio, that is contraction curve. Rise in time deposit ratio, expansion curve. Enhancement reserve ratio will lead to supply curve will shifted to contraction curve. Rise in non-borrowed reserves, expansion will shift to rightward. Enhancement in discretionary finance, DF, it is expansion, it shifted to rightward of the supply curve according to previous diagram. Rise in excess reserve holdings of the banks, that is also will shifted to contraction. So friends, I think according to these topics, I suggest the important readings and suggest sources. You have to find out these two others. There is the Bay and Johnson, and there are two books also available. That is the Bole and Akansi and Miskin. Right? So instead of these books, you can refer to other books as well. And also some other competitive exams, you have to focus us on most important in the money supply factors, endogenous factors and exogenous factors. And what is the determinants of the money supply factors? Right? And also you can, most important, you can concentrate on monetary policy response and how the supply curve will shift to rightward and leftward, expansion or contraction. And thank you very much. Thanks for your attention. And if you like the video, please subscribe and share your friends. Thank you. Thank you very much.